What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Joe White here, and we are back. Oh my God, I got him. I got him on the goddamn computer 2 days within what? Let's see, it was Friday that we did it? It was
Thursday.
Thursday. So less than a week apart. The one, the only, Daddy Cool AC.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Mania weekend to talk about, brother.
Whew.
Also, we had Easter. I hope your Easter was well.
Oh, it was good. Went to the
Good.
sunrise service. Got
Good.
my ass up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then the church served free Bojangles biscuits afterwards. Great.
I love it.
I'm what they
Yeah,
call
I
I'm
worked.
what they
I
call
worked.
a CEO, Christmas and Easter only. You know.
There you go. I worked, and then I got 90 minutes, 2 hours with the fam, and then it was on to Mania time. Yeah, it was a long weekend of work, but I got in pretty much everything. Not all live. But between early Saturday morning, or I should say early Sunday morning, um, last night, a lot of it live, and then between this morning and this afternoon, I pretty much got everything in, rewatched a few things to, just the stuff that I wasn't recalling as well, and
Here's
we got her all done. It was a different kind of Mania Easter weekend for myself, but we got it done.
let's talk about the one thing here that is probably not going to get a whole lot of attention,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the carrying cross thing. For those who don't know, Sam Roberts and Megan Morant do this useless podcast after Raw and SmackDown, and basically it's to take place of the bump, what the bump used to be on their website or YouTube channel. Um,
Okay.
and
I honestly never even heard or watched or
I
anything of
they
it. So
they advertise it all the time on the shows, but I didn't listen to it. I didn't even listen to the whole thing. I just skipped right to the carrying cross things because they're in the back in the locker room right after WrestleMania, and they're gonna have guests coming in there, at random or whatever. And all of a sudden, here comes carrying cross. And did you watch the thing that I sent you?
I did.
Okay, so I don't need to go over it with you guys or with you, but basically he cut I think a half worked, half shoot promo.
Yeah, I felt that way too.
And what was great about the whole thing was at the end where he's like, guy with the suit in the TV truck, go fuck yourself. And then the clip I saw on Facebook this morning actually cut off right there. So then I went and actually looked up the thing, and he stands up, and when he says go fuck yourself, his wife, Scarlett, calls him by his shoot name. His shoot name is Kevin. And she's like, when you're out there with the lady and you do something that she don't like, they dig you in the ribs, like, stop, stop doing that,
Yeah.
That's what she does to him. She smacks him on the shoulder. It's like, Kevin, stop. Not here. He gets up and she's trying to tell him, don't do this here. And he's like, they leak my goddamn contract status on the internet. I have no fucking privacy whatsoever. What the fuck do you want me to do? And then walks off, which is true. They do leak out. People do leak
So
out
do
the
you think
contract
her
shit.
actions were to sell it, or do you think her actions were to keep him in check?
I don't know, and that's what's so great
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's I agree with you. That's what I like about it, because you're walking that border of, real, not real. But he
Very,
sold it.
very Vince
It was
Russo.
very passionate. It was very passionate.
It was very Vince Russo WCW 2000.
And like our boy Hollywood Edwards said in our text thread there, um, that was his best promo since TNA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out
And
Hollywood Edwards.
hell yeah, man. I wish Hollywood was here. But Hollywood was right on the money. And I like when Carrie and he's like, he's making fun of having to wear that mask, and he's making fun of everything
She
that's
was right
happened.
about, by the way.
Oh man, was he ever? But he's got to
Yeah.
understand, you know, he wouldn't have been brought back if Vince was still around.
Right. I don't know if he would want to be back if Vince was still around.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's kind of a double-edged sword there.
I mean, and when he's like, guy in the truck with the suit on, Triple H doesn't sit in the truck. So is he
Yeah.
talking
So
about refitting?
I guess that's where, you got to kind of wonder, is there someone he was attacking? Was he using a, you know, was he shooting on someone while it was a work promo? I don't know, and that's the great part. I guess we're gonna hopefully have it play out. Now,
that's my thing.
if he disappears, I think we know. You know what I
I
mean?
have a feeling that this will get swept under the rug and they're gonna go. Thank God this was on a podcast slash YouTube thing. That how many? Let me see here. How many has that gotten? Because I was just watching that again before you
Now you're
called
talking
here.
now. Would that have you sent it on Facebook?
Doesn't.
Well, this was
Right.
this somebody captured it off YouTube and put it on Facebook. So that
Right,
was
but what
some
I'm saying is
rando's
if
account.
you can look at probably both, look at the YouTube views and then look at the Facebook views
Well,
it got as well. You know what I'm saying?
here's the thing: WWE doesn't look at some rando's Facebook group and go, "Oh, his copy of our video got this many views." They don't. They don't do that. They don't know. I mean, they go by what their channel
But you're
says on
telling me if
YouTube.
it was viewed 5 million times, they wouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, maybe if it crossed one of their, like, if it crossed one of their feeds on Facebook, then yeah, maybe. But as of right now,
I mean, we know if it was Tony Khan, he'd probably try to get it pulled down.
yeah. But as of right now, the WrestleMania recap that they put up 15 hours ago, 207,246 views.
And that's not a lot.
No, it's not. Not for WWE, seeing as how um the WrestleMania post show or just a clip of John Cena vowing to ruin wrestling, where he's like, "That's a very clickbait question." All the reporters, which is funny as hell. 900,000 views. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, triple. So,
There you go.
So let's get into WrestleMania. What were your we'll go match by match, but what were your overall thoughts of the entire presentation, the stage, the just the overall feeling, the overall vibe?
I thought it was good. I will say, I think when you put it into context of like the great WrestleManias, I don't think this one's going to be there. Not even close, to be honest with you. I think this is going to be one of those ones where 5 years from now, when you're talking about WrestleMania, you may bring up, the Heyman Rollins thing, which we'll get to. You may, I'm struggling to find moments that are going to stand out. I thought it was an entertaining 2 nights. I thought overall night 2 was better than night 1. I do think there was, if you're going to find moments, they were probably in night 1. But I'm going to give you 2 things that annoyed the shit out of me with this production. If I never hear that fucking Travis Scott song again, it'll be too soon. Like, I am so, stop playing that guy. I know we're going to hear it 1,000 times tonight, and we're going to hear it 1,000 times on Friday when they're doing the recaps. I can't stand it. Just enough with that fucking song already. It's terrible. Terrible. This is why everybody's listening to music from throwbacks, because the music of today sucks.
Yep.
Anyway, that's rather here nor there. My biggest problem, that's like 1A, which it's very close to being 1. But my biggest problem with the production is the in between these matches now. It is ridiculous how many fucking ads and spots, and you don't even feel the build in between to the match anymore. It's just like WWE shop this, that, this. They're promoting this and that, and this fucking thing, and this drink, and that, and it's like, oh my god, just get to the fucking matches already. And the walk-ins. Does everybody's walk-in have to be 10 minutes?
Yeah.
The 3-way, the women's match that opened the show, the match was good, much better than I expected. I know we're gonna get to specifics, but it took them 17 minutes to get to the fucking ring.
Yep.
I know the ramp's long, but and then Bianca Belair's like dancing in the ring, and her song's just playing and playing and playing and playing, and I'm like, can we get to fucking wrestling already?
So,
but overall, I'd say it was a decent WrestleMania. like I said, I think you may find that one moment, the Heyman Rollins, but I think when it goes in the context of WrestleMania, it's gonna get lumped in with the okay WrestleManias. It's not gonna be one of those ones where you say, like last year, you're gonna talk about last year. And I know, well, when we get to the main event, we could get there. There's a lot of reasons for that. And then there's all the other ones you always go to. But this one's not gonna be there.
So Triple H has had now, I want to say at least 2 WrestleManias under his belt, 40 and 41, with no Vince interference. 39 had Vince interference in it because there was a rumor that while he was out, he showed up that day, and that's why the Raw after Mania that year sucked. You know what? So
Yeah, he wasn't official totally gone in
right.
39, right?
So as far as
Yeah.
the 2 that we've gotten fully under Triple H's belt, this is by far the worst one.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
don't know that it had a
but
chance to be better, but
I will say this is probably about as good as any WrestleMania that has been since the last maybe 5 or 6 of the Vince McMahon era that he did. So, I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm not
it's
by
a
any means
B
saying it's bad.
minus for sure for me.
Okay, I
You
mean,
know,
I think you're in the ballpark. I
so
mean, there's a lot that were way worse. I'll say that.
oh yeah,
I mean, I think it was a good, entertaining show. I mean, I think there's trends with Mania not to like some of the things I brought up, but again, I think 3-4 years from now, you're not really going to be talking about this one.
nope.
And but it's also coming off the heels of ones you're probably going to be talking about for the rest of your life. So the bar was set very high last year. Then there's a lot of things that play into that they couldn't even have got to this year. But I also think there's some stuff that could have been better, and maybe some stuff that was better than I thought what was going to be.
So I'll tell you my overall thoughts of this thing. I hated the fucking set. I thought this is probably one of the weaker sets in
I
WrestleMania
did think the
history.
people sitting on it was pretty cool though.
The people sitting on it with like the U-boat or the U-shaped
Yeah, yeah.
booths like you would find at a Las
Well,
Vegas
it was almost
lounge.
like they were like in a bottle service
It
club or
is. They
something.
were. There was a full bar behind them. Not cheap seats. Those could not. That
Oh,
you're talking
I
five
couldn't
grand a
imagine.
piece, easily.
The only thing I would say that would probably sucked about sitting there is they were right near the fucking pyro.
Exactly. That's the same thing I said to my family when we were watching it Saturday. I was like, man, I'd hate to be sitting there where the pyro is.
Yeah.
Especially Cody's, because Cody has the loudest pyro.
Oh
Every
yeah.
time I hear his pyro, my ears ring for a good 20 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
Um, so the set bugged me, except for when they did the little screens with Roman Reigns' entrance, which we'll get to, where it was like the timeline, like the evolution
Yes.
chart of the bloodline. That was cool. But other than that, I'm like, hotel? I saw a sketch of this thing on, I think it was Wednesday of last week. And I'm like, it's a hotel. Because they had like the windows and everything, like they're LED screens. So, but instead of having just screen A, screen B, they actually had it drawn in what was going to be on the screen for 90% of the time. And it's a fucking
Yeah.
hotel. And I'm just like, come on. AEW does better than this when they go to Vegas with the slot machine and the
With
poker
the poker chips
chips.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the only time they actually do a real
And I'm
stage.
sitting here going, could you not have like a slot machine? And you know how they had like in the background, like when it was like, let's say Uso versus Gunther, they had Jey Uso on the left, Gunther on the right. Couldn't you have like a slot machine with 3 reels where it's Jey Uso, maybe a picture of the belt, then Gunther on the third reel? That would then it changes for every match. That would have been awesome. Poker chips, a roulette wheel, something that tells me this is Vegas. If they didn't have the word Vegas there, and if you didn't know any better, and they showed you that, you'd think they were in any other city.
Well, I think they're. I don't think the stage setups are as big a focus for them anymore.
No, they haven't been for a long time because it's
Yeah,
just
and
pop
that
an
there may
LED
be a
board on
monetary
there.
there may be a monetary reason for that too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I miss the old days in like the 80s and 90s when they actually, or 90s actually, late 90s, early 2000s, where they would actually build a set. Like I remember one of my favorite ones was for No Way Out 2002. when the NWO came back, they brought in full on tractor trailers, and they had
Hmm.
projectors projecting the image on the side of the trailer, and that was the Titantron that night. You
Yeah,
know?
I remember walking into the TD Garden back when Cena won the title that night in Boston for Money in the Bank, and you walked in and you knew it was Money in the Bank. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there was briefcases hanging and ladders everywhere, and you walked in and you're like, I'm not at a regular show today. I'm at Money in the Bank. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
and I get it. You're in the football stadium, the whole thing, but you know, I try not to get too worked up about that stuff, but I do agree with your point. If you're going to build this big video board at this point, you could pretty much do whatever you want with it. So the graphic could have been more creative.
I mean, I think the last WrestleMania set that they did was the last time. I think the one where the Hardy Boys returned in Orlando and they had the roller coaster and all that mess in the
Oh yeah,
background.
and that remember how high that ramp was?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what too? I wonder if the ticket sales caused this to be a bigger stage than they anticipated. I think their anticipation was to have 85,000 and they had 60,000, and maybe they went with a broader stage setup because of that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care about how big or wide the stage is. It's like you're in Vegas. Put a couple people. Why
I
not
get what
have
you're
like
saying. They didn't give you a Vegas feel for it.
no nothing at all said Vegas at all. Put a roulette wheel up there. They're
Well, I
going
mean, they
to.
do have a lot of hotels in Vegas,
I
but
mean, WrestleMania 30, even with the Fleur de Lis setup, gave you a Mardi Gras esque feel.
yeah,
You put
yep,
a
true.
fucking hotel there, and I had somebody
You know
on my
what? One of my
Facebook
favorites
go,
was 29 when they had this. I was at it, but when they had the Statue of Liberty.
yeah, and the Brooklyn
Um,
Bridge and all that, yeah.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
And but this, it's like even when Flair retired and they did in I think it was Orlando or Miami or whichever one it was, they did the cruise ship setup. This one was maybe one better than the cruise ship setup, but this is probably one of the worst ones they've ever done by far. I couldn't stand it. I was like, man, a hotel of all things to throw up. I mean, people go, well, that's the outside of the Bellagio. Maybe there'll be fountains involved, and I'm like, all right, that might be cool. Nope, we didn't get a fountain. We didn't get nothing. Like I said, they could do the exact same setup in Atlantic City, and you never know the difference.
Right.
It's
True.
horrible. Let's run this down though. Let's run this
Yeah.
down. Jey Uso defeated Gunther by submission, 16 minutes 30 seconds. Very very strong opener. He's the only other guy to make Gunther submit, besides Ilya Dragunov, and I think Ilya Dragunov choked him out. He didn't make him tap. I thought this was an excellent back and forth match. And again, I think it would have had more meaning if it closed the show instead of opened the show. But it was all right. I was surprised it went as long as it did. They probably could have cut it by about 5 minutes and it would have been just as good. But what are your thoughts on this one?
I think we pretty much nailed it on the pre-show. I thought the match was good, very good. I the tap out finish was a nice surprise too. Um, but I think the placement sucks. I really do. It's always good to have a great opening match. I get that, but when you get from that point to what you got in the main event of night two, it feels like it was a year ago.
Yeah.
I still think it should have been a co-main on night two and went right before the main. I would have put the title matches back to back. I know that a lot of I've been and I have been to shows where you have a really good match and it takes you a few minutes into the next match to recover. But like I talked about on just a few minutes ago, with the amount of time in between of these matches starting now, I don't know if that'd be the case anymore. And I just think it would have gave a bigger feel, done a little bit more for Uso. But overall, match quality was great. It was fun. The right guy won. And I thought this is one of the better matches of both nights.
And see, it used to be, you could skip the pre-show because you're like, oh, I don't want to watch the same video packages that they show on the main show on the pre-show. Now,
Yeah.
unless you watch that pre-show on YouTube and not have any ads enabled on YouTube, you're getting fucking ads instead of those video packages.
Yep.
Because I bet you not many people. I get Peacock free because of my Comcast subscription, and I would love to know the amount of people that do Peacock Premium and actually get those video packages.
I wouldn't. I don't. I get the cheap Peacock, so I wouldn't know.
So we
I
had
just, you know why? I mean, to be honest with you, if I used it more, like if Raw was on it, I might get rid of the commercials. But I really only use it to watch the PLEs. So I mean, I'm just gonna pay the least amount. Yeah,
right.
that's where I'm at with it. So you're saying if you don't have commercials on Peacock, you're getting the video packages?
Yeah, if you don't have
Okay.
commercials on Peacock, because they say they'll tell you for everybody on Peacock Premium, let's take a look at how this match came together.
So maybe that's why they're annoying the shit out of me. But even
Yeah,
still, aside from that, there still is a lot of time between the matches and a
yeah.
lot
I
of time for
mean,
the
you
walkouts.
mentioned that damn Travis Scott song. There was a
Oh
lot of
God.
shots of them spanning the arena, and all you heard was that damn annoying song in the background. You know what it reminded me of? You know the scene in Forrest Gump where the fucking his mother
And
screws the
correct me up.
principal? That's what it is. And then he comes outside. Your mama sure does love your schooling, son. And then
You know what? Isn't that song about doing drugs or
I
being a
don't
fiend
know.
for drugs or something?
I have no
Anyway,
idea.
whatever.
I don't. The only reason why I knew who Travis Scott was is because they named a fucking McDonald's meal after him last year. That's it.
Oh, I knew him from the Jordans, the Jordan sneakers.
Oh,
They did a
jeez.
collab. This was years ago. I mean, I know they still do, but
Well, the
they
song
had
is from
like these they
2023.
had I don't know if you know anything about the Jordan sneakers, but
No.
they had I think they were Jordan 4s, and they're Jordan Cactus Jack 4s, and they were like in the Carolina baby blue, and they were I still got them somewhere. I think I don't even know where they are. I still got. I never won them,
How is
but
Mick
they're
Foley and WWE not suing this guy over the Cactus Jack name? They sued that rapper The Game. They were in a lawsuit for 10 years over that.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know why. To be honest with you, and then they have a whole WWE Cactus Jack Travis Scott clothing line.
Yeah, and to me, it diminishes that character that Mick Foley played for so many years, you know? When I hear
And I,
Cactus Jack on a WWE program, I instantly
when
think,
I
oh,
saw
yeah,
it, I thought it
Foley.
was Mick. I thought it was Mick Foley merch, and
Yeah.
then I realized there was a Travis Scott collab, and then I'm like, oh, like the Cactus Jack sneakers. Oh, I get it. The John Cena jersey was pretty cool, though. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna buy it, but it was pretty cool.
So let's go into match number 2. The New Day defeated the War Raiders. We were right on the money with this one. And it was a
Yep.
nice, cheap heel finish, holding the referee or holding
Yeah.
the legs.
Old school. I thought it
I
was pretty
liked it.
old school.
I liked it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see the
I
New
was
Day
with
get
it.
this.
I thought the match was decent. Again, I think hopefully this elevates what the New Day is doing. Nothing against War Raiders, but I thought the right team won. Being that second match is never easy, and I thought they did a good job.
I will say this, and I'll go ahead and say it now because it all kind of ties together. If I'm a WWE superstar and I'm paying for my own ring gear, they came out to these damn Clash of the Clan style costumes for the War Raiders, and then Drew McIntyre had to do the damn Doomslayer costume because they tied it in with the new Doom game that's coming out. Clash of the
Oh, is that?
Yeah, Clash of Clans has been out. WWE's doing a collab with them, even though they've been out for about 10 years at least now, and nobody plays that damn game hardly. The Doom game is going to get a lot because the Doom game always sells, but I hope to God Drew McIntyre.
They're getting something for it.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre looked like he could not get that damn shit off fast enough, you know. But the War Raiders, my family are sitting here going, why does it look like they got Spirit Halloween shit on? Because it looked that hokey. And then they flashed up Clash of the Clans and they're like, oh, okay, it looks like the video game. It fits the War Raiders.
I'm glad you filled me in on why they were wearing what they were wearing because I had no idea.
Yeah. I thought it was a very good match. 9 minutes, 15 seconds is exactly the right length for them. I don't know what the War Raiders do now. Hopefully they don't get siphoned back to development hell or whatever they want to call it, but lower mid card hell. But Jade Cargill defeated Naomi. I popped for the fact that they had the dude from the Weather Channel on there for Jade,
Yeah,
and Naomi had a hell of an entrance too. I
yeah, I
like
like her
this.
song.
I'm surprised it went 10 minutes. I got up to get me something to drink. By the time I came back, I'm like, God damn, this thing's still on? This thing's still going on? But what I did see of it, aside from that short little 5 minute deal, I liked. It was exactly what it needed to be. There was a couple of timing mishaps in there, but Jade Cargill got the win. I kind of was hoping Naomi would get the win, but again, with oh man, Bianca Belair getting booed this weekend. You have to wonder what if they're going to factor Bianca Belair into all this as a heel going down the road, but I don't think they will. I think this is the last. I worry for Naomi because we mentioned on the preview thing we did how this heel character has been a reinvention for her and given her a new lease on life. And I'm hoping that with this loss, they don't just shuffle her back to like teaming up with wrestler X in NXT, and going
Yeah,
for the tag titles or. But what were your thoughts
yeah,
on this one?
yeah. I thought it was okay. I mean, I've been a fan of Jade since AEW days, and I think she's still growing. I think there's still a lot of room for improvement, of course, but she's getting better. And when you see her on WrestleMania, feels like she belongs. So that part about it is nice. I agree with you on Naomi. Part of me almost wanted her to win. I like the entrance. I like the attitude. I hope it's not a step back. I think there may be some ways, some things they could do to keep her relevant too. Um, but Jade gets the W, and it was a decent kind of blood feud mid card match. That was pretty good. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Next up with a damn good match. Jacob Fatu defeated LA Knight. This match was amazing. LA Knight worked his ass off here. Fatu worked his ass. For a guy that big, me and my son-in-law were sitting here talking, and me and him both agree. A guy that freaking huge, and this is a big guy. You do not realize until you see this man in person how
Mm-hmm.
big Jacob Fatu is. We sat there and go, a guy that big should not be able to do a best moonsault ever over and over and over and hit it perfectly every single freaking time.
I know, in the pop up part of it too, which
Yes,
he never slips on the ropes or anything.
never. He's
He's
perfect.
an unbelievable performer, and I agree with you. He's not, and when you're saying big guy, you're not talking about height. You're just talking just like a
He's
massive like
massive.
boulder.
Yes,
He's like a
exactly.
boulder,
Yes, the dude is
and
jacked.
I agree with you on LA Knight. I mean, listen, the guy's been giving that kind of effort for a long time. He's just getting recognition for it. This is the kind of match where you're almost like it sucks somebody had to lose type of thing. Um, but I think it was time for Jacob to win. Again, there's a lot of things they could do with him going forward. The one thing I'm almost positive is they're gonna have a hard time keeping this guy a heel.
Yeah, he's not
He's
a heel.
getting over,
He's not a
and
heel.
everybody wants to see him. He's got that organic. This is the guy that people want to see. I know LA Knight has a lot of that too.
Yeah.
But again, it's just one of those matches where somebody had to lose. And although I don't, I want a lot of good things for LA Knight as well. It was pretty cool, great match. Again, like the mid card match, and this is part of the difference now with having the two nights every year. When we're going back through it, you're like, damn, yeah, that was a really good match, And it's like, shit, you saw so much yesterday that it feels like last year, but it was like
Yeah.
2 days ago,
I mean,
So it's just different now.
I got up for that I had to get up at 6 o'clock the next morning or leave at the house at 6 o'clock. So I had to get up at 5 o'clock the next morning. And I'm struggling walking over to that church because it's a sunrise service. So they set chairs up on the ground and you have service outside while the sun comes up. And I'm
Mhm.
walking over to that church and I see my son in law, who's an associate pastor. Me and him both looked at each other and I'm like, You got WrestleMania hangover too? He's like, yep. That's what I call it every year. The
Listen, I don't want
WrestleMania
to hear
hangover.
shit. I got home at 3:45 in the morning from work, so
Oh,
and,
so
I was so jacked up. Just because it was like go 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 right till I walked out the door. Because by the time we got everybody out, I'm having you got to stock, you got to clean, you got to count money, you got to do all that, then drive home. So I get home and I'm like, should I start it? And I was wide awake, so I was like, I'm gonna lay down and start it. I'll probably fall asleep 10 minutes in. I got about 2 hours in before my eyes even dozed off.
that's good.
And then I slept for like an hour. I got up and I kind of picked up where I left off, and then I actually fell asleep for the women's match, and then I woke up and watched the main event. So then I had to yesterday last night. It's a long story, but when I woke up in the middle of the night, blah blah blah, and I watched some stuff. So this stuff I missed, but I saw a big bulk of night one after I got home from work Sunday morning, and then I had to be in work again at 9 a.m. So I slept like an hour and a half. Long
Jeez.
story short, I watched a lot of wrestling and slept like an hour and a half. So
You had to be up mixing
yeah,
those
so
Bloody
that'll
Marys.
tell you why I fell asleep before the main event last night, because I couldn't keep my fucking eyes open anymore. But we got it all done.
That's good. The next match. Apparently, we're all racists. Me and you are racist, AC, according to Dave Meltzer. El Grande
From the
Americano.
Gulf of America.
Yeah, Meltzer's thing, for those of you who did not watch it, the video's up on the channel. Meltzer goes, they announce him they announce El Grande Americano as from the Gulf of America, and the announcers were quick to go in and go, Mexico, Mexico, and everybody, and Brian Alvarez, who's his partner, goes, yeah, but people there who are there live popped for it, and
Yes.
Meltzer is quick to go, those are the racist fans. But this coming from the same guy, who, when countless stupid shit has been done over the years and fans pop for it, his excuse to Jim Cornette and everybody else goes, but the fans like it, so it's over. Well, the fans like this, you freaking 80-year-old fucktard, so this is over.
Listen, it's funny. It's like you said in
a
a
parody.
Text. They're saying he's from a body of water.
Okay, I'll give you a prime example.
I know, I get it. Listen, I get, like, we're in a time where everything is like hyper fucking political, but it totally fits what they're. I don't see how people don't see this fits what he's doing with this character.
I'll give you a prime woke example, even before the term woke was even used, okay? Have you ever watched the movie Chasing Amy?
Oh, I know I have. It's been so long.
It has been long,
I definitely.
Okay?
Yeah.
With the gay girl who sleeps with the guy, Ben Affleck, and Jason Lee's in it. Well,
yes.
Years later, the idiot character in the movie, Jason Lee's character in the movie, says, all a girl needs, lesbian or not, all a girl needs is just a good deep dicking to get her mind right, Years later, Kevin Smith, the director and writer of that movie, is doing like a series of college Q&As. This is like 2003, maybe.
This is gonna annoy the shit out of me. I can tell already.
Hold on. There is a lesbian woman who stands up and asks him, basically asking him, "Why did you write that line?" And Kevin Smith's answer. Now, this is before Kevin Smith himself went woke. Kevin Smith looks at her. Not only that, but Kevin Smith looks at her and goes, look, we have the idiot character in the movie say that. And because the idiot character in the movie is saying it, it negates the entire fucking argument. So we have American pretending to be a fucking luchador. And yes, Trump is doing some stupid shit, but it's a fucking body of water. Do you honestly think the man lives on the Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico, or whatever you want to call it? No, he ain't got a houseboat out there. So we have the idiot character saying that, yes, I'm sure it's done by way of the ring announcer, but we have the idiot character who's pretending to be a luchador, who we all know is Chad Gable, saying, I'm from the Gulf of America. That instantly deflates the argument, and they're laughing in Trump's face with it. Can you not see it that way? And then you had people going, "Oh, the little orange filter in the mariachi band, that was racist too." Again,
Oh,
the idiot
God.
character's doing this for his entrance. It negates your entire argument because he's such a fucking idiot.
You know, I actually enjoy it more that it annoys these people. I really do.
I do
I'm
too.
sorry. I'm sorry if you're listening and it annoys you, but I actually like it more that it annoys you because you know what,
To
you can
me,
figure that out
to
for
me,
yourself.
this is like, to me, this is WWE's version of doing stupid shit like 50 super kicks and the parodies that AEW do of
Yeah,
wrestling, but they could get away with it here because it actually makes sense. You have an idiot
but
character.
it fits.
It
It's funny.
fits.
It's
It
like
is compared
I
to
dude, if I
AEW. It
dude when I
fits.
heard her say it, I would honestly I thought for sure she was gonna say the Gulf. And honestly, I think it's funny if the Gulf of Mexico too. Like, but it's funnier saying the Gulf of America, Grande Americano, and the whole thing.
Me and my,
The only here's my only issue with all this is I hope we get to a serious Chad Gable after this.
yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
got to be the payoff.
Yeah.
Can I hit pause here for just 1 second?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that, folks. But we were talking about El Grande Americano defeating Ray Phoenix. Hell, you even talk about the parody. I told my kids, I was like, why is it every time I hear El Grande Americano, I want Starbucks real bad? Because an Americano is a drink at Starbucks. I'm
I
like,
think
you can go to
don't
Starbucks
you have
and yeah,
don't they have their isn't a grande like
a medium.
fucking medium or
Yeah.
something? Yeah.
So you can
I can't
actually
stand that shit.
you can go to Starbucks and order an El Grande Americano.
Every
Again, it's a parody. So
so I don't recall, but on our pre-show, did we pick Rey Mysterio to win this?
yeah, we picked Ray to win and then unmask El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
But then he tore his
So
groin, and Phoenix got
on
placed
SmackDown.
in there. Now, according to Meltzer, the match still went the way it was supposed to go. Chad Gable was always scheduled to win this El Grande
Okay.
Americano.
Interesting, because I honestly I thought for sure Phoenix was gonna win.
Oh no! And once they announced it was Phoenix on that pre-show when they announced that AAA was being bought by them, which we could get into later, um, I was like, oh god, okay, Phoenix, it's your first WrestleMania. I'm glad you and your brother both got on the cards, but you're gonna lose. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe because he's new. I guess they haven't put as much into him as they did with Penta. Uh, Pretty cool to see him in that spot.
oh yeah,
The one thing I'd caution, and I was thinking about this watching the match, because there's always a couple spots where like you kind of cringe when he works. Is AEW could not only AEW even before he went there, everybody's had an impossible time trying to keep this guy healthy.
yeah.
And I think that's something you want to see. And then you got El Vikingo over there. And I'm thinking the same thing with him.
Oh man, when Vikingo showed up, I was
I
like,
can't stand him, by the way.
you can't?
I'm not a big fan of his.
I have my moments with him, but I'm sitting there going, dude,
Okay.
6 months ago, this fucker was like Tony Khan's golden boy.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, he's another guy. If you watch enough of his matches, it's in the back of your head every time, like, is this guy going to break his neck?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm not the biggest fan of his, I don't know. Maybe they could rein that in a little. The one thing I'll say is, are we getting to a point where it's too much with the luchador, too much with the mass luchadors, in the luchador style overall?
See, now that they've bought AAA,
I don't know. Meltzer might call me racist for bringing this up, but I'm just going to say it.
Now that they've bought AAA, oh god, people in Mexico are hating this thing with AAA. There's one guy who wrote, I was listening to Meltzer and he wrote into Meltzer, it's like a Mexican, like, he's like the Mexican version of Meltzer apparently. And this guy is like, the business is dead. This is going to kill Lucha. It's going to kill our culture down here.
Well, what about the CMLL?
The sky is well, they're partnered with AEW, but to them, this is WWE buying WCW.
Well, they are, but listen, CML is they have a partnership with AEW, but they run all the time. I mean, Flip's been down there for a couple of years now. He's exclusively wrestled in Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how I'm not pretending to know how the Mexican fan base views AAA and CMLL. Maybe AAA is their baby over CMLL. That could very well be the case, and maybe that's why they
Well,
don't love it. But you still
CMLL
have
is
CMLL.
CMLL is the longest running wrestling promotion in the world. They've been down there since before Vince McMahon,
But I'm more talking about how the fans treat it, though.
I don't know. I don't, and I'm not
Right.
going to pretend to know. But them right now, according to the Mexican version of Dave Meltzer, the sky's falling.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what.
Maybe they're worried they're going to buy CMLL too.
Nah. I'll tell you what. I would love to see El Grande Americano go down there to fucking AAA and tear the house down.
Dude, they might. I don't know if they could. They might kill him.
Yeah. It's like that one guy
Dude,
who used to.
Could you imagine he walks out in some like big Mexican arena and they're like built from the Gulf of America?
That's why I want to see it.
They'll fucking riot.
That's why I want to see it. That's why it works.
Oh man, I'm with you. I would love.
Because remember that there was this one guy
pay-per-view just to see that happen.
There was this one guy, I can't remember who it was. They did a big video piece on him for like 60 minutes or something like that back in the day. It was like right during Trump's first term, and he's a guy who lived and wrestled in Mexico, and MAGA was his gimmick. Like the whole Republican Hail Trump thing was his gimmick. And people could not fucking stand him, but he made a ton of money down there. So
I mean, to me, in the United States of America, if you know anything about the way people voted, a lot of South Americans voted that way.
Yeah.
So
he had a big Latino
that's just the
vote.
fact of the matter. That's just. If you look at the state of Florida, it's proof positive.
But to sit there and say that every fan who cheered for the Gulf of America line is racist.
Oh, he's an idiot. He's an idiot.
A fucking moron.
Cornette's an idiot with that stuff too. But let's be honest.
Cornette's not going to say that everybody who cheers for that's a racist. Cornette's just going to say everybody who cheers for that's an idiot. You know. Yeah, and my big whole thing.
Racist, but I mean, he has said a lot of derogatory things about people who support the president, which is fine. Like whatever. I still frequently listen to the show. It is what it is. He could hate me all I want. That's fine.
My whole thing about this is that here's a guy who said, but it's over. The Young Bucks getting 50 super kicks and doing dance breaks in the middle of matches. The fans like it, so it makes it okay. Well, you know what, dude? But the fans like it. The fans like this. That does not make them racist. You're setting a double standard for yourself.
Yeah, and I would guess that it's probably 50-50, right?
The Young Bucks voted for Trump. Are they racist?
I mean, the fans that think that the Gulf of America thing's funny, and the ones who hate it, it's probably 50-50, like everything else, right?
I look at it.
I mean, if you want to call 50% of the people racist, that's on you.
As I said on the video that I did about Meltzer's comments, you could call it the Gulf of Banana Fana Fofana. I don't give a fuck what a body of water is called. Okay? If we own it, it should be called the Gulf of America. You know? I mean, at the end of the day, I don't give a crap. It's they're announcing this guy from a body of water. Like he sleeps on the water. He goes home to the water.
I don't even think we should give Meltzer this time of breath, to be honest with you.
Let's go to the next one, which I am going to tell you this, man. You're probably going to say, oh, Joe White's a bit light in the loafers, if you know what I mean, brother, for saying this. Tiffany Stratton defeating Charlotte Flair. I absolutely loved the Barbie entrance. I thought it was the best entrance of either night, to be honest.
Okay.
Finally, they did. As soon as they showed like this is the one thing they did right with the screens with the Barbie's Dream House thing. And I immediately called it. I'm like, oh, she's doing a Barbie entrance. And then they showed the 3 boxes, and she's there in the different outfits doing the little dance and Tiffy time, which I found out the day after. Those were not television screens, they're holograms that they had projecting on either side of her.
Oh, okay.
I thought this entrance was amazing. I'm like, that fits her fucking character. And then to find out later on, she had pitched this several times in NXT doing a Barbie like entrance, and they turned her down every time. And then to do it here, and they got a Mattel mention out of it. Mattel is who WWE has to do their figures, their license their figures, so it fits. I could not be prouder of Tiffany Stratton in this match. These two women beat the hell out of each other. Charlotte Flair is way too fucking skinny. Her ring gear, I thought her ring gear was going to fall off of her during this match. That damn bikini thing that she had was hanging off her ass the whole time. And
take the bikini off.
goddamn,
Give it to me.
I want to see more knee joint and spine. Goddamn. Maybe I'll go in the bedroom.
Show you my dildo collection. Yeah.
He stole it from me. I was gonna be like, I'm gonna reach in my drawer and get Brock Lesnar.
Where's Laurinaitis? Oh, get him in here. Get him in here, pal.
But I thought this match was pretty damn good. They went 19 minutes and 5 seconds. It was the second longest match on the show, or of night one. And I thought for sure that Charlotte was there. They had me with this one. There were many a times where I thought Charlotte was going to win. And when Tiffany pinned her, I'm not going to lie, I marked the hell out when Tiffany pinned her. I'm like, yes, finally they do this smart. Finally they realized Tiffany needed to win here. Finally they realized that nobody wants to see Charlotte Flair with that belt.
Her flat ass?
Yes, exactly. God damn,
her flat ass and her fake face.
I like it nice and flat and fake. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll pay for it, pal.
He will.
Well, he'll start and then he'll just stop.
Yeah, he ain't done writing checks yet. I got a feeling. And anyway, what did you think about this one?
Oh, listen. As far as the entrance goes, Tiffany Stratton in my world can do whatever she wants. Literally. I thought the match was better than. Well, I don't want to say it was better than I expected. I thought it was what I expected. I'm going to take the other side of it because you kind of gave the Tiffany Stratton side. Are we to the point now where Charlotte Flair is on the tail end? Maybe she's checked out a little bit, collected a check. I don't know.
The business passed her by. The business passed her by in the year she was out.
She's just not the same to me. I think that her peak was the run with Ripley.
Yep.
And after seeing how this went down, I'm kind of glad.
Her peak was the run. Her peak was the run with Becky and Ronda. Never mind Rhea. That whole triple threat match that they had with Becky and Ronda. Did she have with Becky and Ronda, which was damn good? That's the peak. It's all been downhill from there.
Yeah, I just mean if I look back at like some of the greatest women's matches on Mania, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley is where you're going.
Oh yeah.
But I'm kind of like because of that, I was kind of thinking I wanted Flair Ripley again, and I'm kind of glad we didn't get it. Just let that be great when it was great, because I don't know if they would have recreated that through no fault of Rhea Ripley, because obviously from what we saw, which we'll get to, Rhea Ripley has many great years ahead of her. But I'm kind of done with Charlotte Flair, I got to be honest. And I think there's a lot of reasons to it. I think we've seen her a lot. I don't really want to see her break any title records. I think they're fraudulent. I don't think they should count towards what the men did anyway. There was, again, like we said before, give me her memorable title run. There isn't one. But I'll say this, when it comes to Tiffany Stratton, beating her elevates her title run.
Yep.
If that makes any sense.
If they would have beaten Tiffany Stratton here, it would have killed any momentum that she had, and she'd be back down there in freaking like lower tag team title territory. You know, she would be in the lowest of the low because nobody would have given a crap about her anymore. The Tiffany Stratton thing has happened organically since she set foot in NXT. It's happened organically. And my biggest fear was that, okay, we're going to squash it here. And any organic push that she's had, that she's built since what? When did she debut? 2020? When they were still doing the NXT 2.0 stuff?
Is that what it was? Yeah, I don't recall.
So let me see here. Yeah, 2021. 2021, she got introduced to new recruits at the Performance Center. Um, she debuted on a episode November 16th, 2021 of 205 Live. So to come from that, to get a following all the way up till now and then to squash it, just because, oh, Charlotte Flair's got to come back and win and match her daddy's record or whatever, again, they made the right choice here by putting Stratton over. And Stratton afterwards, I got a feeling we may not see Stratton for a couple weeks. Because I don't know if you noticed, she had a tooth chipped. Her grill,
Oh, really?
her grill was fucked up afterward. It wasn't just a goose egg on her head.
They can they could
Like
get her ready for TV.
She had teeth, like her tooth was chipped. One of her front teeth were. She looked rough after this match, but she earned every damn bit of it. You know.
There you go.
And probably to me, which probably this was my favorite match of the whole weekend. Seth Rollins defeating CM Punk with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman came out and did the thing where he gave Punk his watch for the clobbering time thing. I loved it. Marked out for it. Don't think we needed as much of a CM Punk fan as I am. I don't think we needed that big 3-minute long Fire Still Burns video package beforehand. He got played to the ring by Living Color.
Which we expected.
Yep, and then Roman Reigns.
Well, I should say you brought up.
Roman Reigns was just there. Poor Roman. I mean, it just to me this, and then we all know Rollins wins. Paul Heyman is the GOAT. I'm sorry, he has now surpassed Bobby Heenan and Jim Cornette as the best manager of all time, in my opinion. With this right here.
Well, I mean, just breathing, he passed Cornette in my world, but
oh, come on.
I'm joking.
Anyway, as soon as he gave the low blow to Punk, I called it right then and there. I'm like, okay, he's going with Rollins because he's going to do the same thing to Roman. Anybody who says this was like a shocker and this was a hell of a surprise and what a twist, you're kidding yourselves. You could see all this coming a mile away. Ever since Rollins said, now you owe me a favor, they cemented it. But the execution of it was awesome.
I'm going to knock one little piece of this, is that Heyman gave it away a little quick. The way he positioned himself, it was very obvious that we were all waiting for it to come anyway. I get it. But he almost, you know what I'm saying? And there was a couple things that happened in this Mania where I was like, Bianca Belair did one, which I'm going to get to, which was like, here it comes. Although you expected it, it's almost like you want it to not be so obvious, but whatever. That's nitpicking, I get. I thought this was the match of the weekend, personally.
Yep.
I thought it was the best match. You have the two biggest names, and two of the three biggest names with Roman, Punk, and of course Cody right now, like the major active guys, right, in the match. And you have Rollins, who's always Mr. Reliable, the whole thing. He's been champion, has the great history with Roman, What did you think of Rollins'
entrance coming out there with that big black outfit? All of my family literally looked at that and goes, he looks like a big black penis.
So here is when I've been pleading and begging, and now I just can't say it enough. We need Seth Rollins to stop robbing his wife's closet.
Now that he's a Heyman and that he's a heel, I want to see him wearing a suit.
Here's the problem with that though. Does his breaking away and going with Heyman go away from that when he was the corporate guy, or does it? You know what I'm saying. So my point being is, when he was like the corporate guy, when he turned on the Shield and went with Hunter and the whole thing, that made him like the corporate guy. If he puts a suit on, do you get that feel again? I don't know if you want that feel for him. I don't know if I want this visionary with the women's sunglasses and, wearing his wife's heels to the ring. I know I'm exaggerating, but it's pretty close. I don't know if I want that guy. And the other side of this, from the Reigns perspective, and I think this might be a theme later on as well. There was no way for Roman Reigns to do anything on this WrestleMania, aside from winning the title back, that could capture what he did for the 5 years prior.
Exactly.
And
go ahead.
It worked. The way they did this, it worked. He was in a main event. I know we went in I'm going to do the air quotes main event because we talked about this last time.
Yep.
The main event is the last match. And to me, when you call it WrestleMania, whether you do it on one night or 2 nights, WrestleMania has a main event, and it's the last match that happens.
Yep.
And that's just the way I view it. But they went last on night 1. We'll call it that. Main event at night 1, whatever, semantic way we want to talk about this, which was a big spot. And he was with the other top guy, and then the next level guy. And like you said, the best manager ever in this huge spot, and everybody's going crazy. And the match was great. And you had a bunch of fallsies. You had a bunch of crazy shit happen. You got the chair shots, and Roman laid him in on Punk too.
Oh yeah.
And I actually popped for the dick shot to Punk because in my own warped, I love Roman Reigns mind, when Punk took the dick shot, my prediction was coming true, and then I'm watching it play out, and I'm like, "Fuck, that son of a bitch, Joe White was right." You know what I mean? And then I seen Heyman position himself, hit the dick shot, and the really cool spot was the you got the go to sleep into the spear into the
pedigree.
Into the pedigree. No, into the stomp.
Yeah. My favorite thing in the whole match.
Sleep. It was a glow to sleep spear into the stomp. He hit the go to sleep on Rollins, then Punk got speared, and then after the spear, he hit a stomp on Reigns. I just thought that Rollins hit the stomp on Reigns. I thought that was a cool spot.
My favorite thing in the whole match was, ever since January 6th when they debuted on Netflix, nobody has gone through the new and improved announce table yet. And they did it here. Did we thought we were going to get the Shield powerbomb? No. We got, a powerbomb to Punk and then a powerbomb to Rollins through each of the 2 newly reinforced tables, and they even had new table designs here. And I'm like,
yeah, they went through it in the Breaker match too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
Yep. And we were sitting there. I popped huge because it's like, wow, finally they built this up. Because every time somebody has bumped on that table or has gone near that table, they are like, oh, the reinforced announce table, this brand new announce table.
Wait, didn't Fatu put didn't he put Braun Strowman through it?
I don't think it broke though.
Well, he went over it. Yeah, I think you're right.
So, in the crowd, when they started taking the shit off this table, you could hear a gasp from the crowd that was not like a normal, the table spot gasp. This gasp is like, holy shit, he's going to put him through that thing? He's going to put him through the newly enforced, reinforced announce table. So that was my 2. And then you had Punk and Roman and Rollins. Rollins is trying to convince Punk, we got to do this. We got to get them together. We got to do this. And Punk is like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And then Roman turns the script on Rollins and puts him through it too. I thought it was absolutely tremendous. This match had drama. This match told a story. This match had twists and turns. You could see the ending coming a mile away, but it was good. Sometimes it's not. You can think, oh, okay, we know what's about to happen, but how are they going to get there?
Right. That's yep. You're exactly
And
right.
how they got
That's what
there
it
with
comes down
this,
to.
it was amazing. It was a hell of a cap off.
Plus,
I want
now
more for
we
Punk
have
now,
where are we
but
going forward?
exactly.
You know. So
Um,
that's the great part about it is it's not like it ended there. Where are we going forward? Um, both guys have axes to grind. Both guys have redemption stories. Plus, now you've elevated Rollins, again to a spot. So, a lot of ways you could go there, and on a decent, good, very to very good night one.
Night 2 kicked off with Io Sky defeating Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley in one hell of a match. And I'm
Yep.
glad Io went over. I said it on the pre-show. Io needs to go
I'm
over.
not.
I'm happy. I'm happy with this
I
because
love me some Ripley, bro.
I love Rhea Ripley too, but for a
She
storyline
should
aspect,
never lose.
I love the fact that at the beginning
I
of
want
this,
her to have a 10-year run of never losing.
at
Mommy's always on top, bro.
yeah, I love mommy.
Oh,
I'm gonna get a pocket pussy and name it Rhea Ripley.
I would have went after mommy, but she kicked my ass, pal. Yeah, I like the little ones, pal.
I'd probably let her kick my ass. I like that too. Anyway, um,
As long as the thumb went in, pal.
I'm a huge ring gear mark. You know this. And when Bianca Belair came out with those flowers in her hair in that braid, I looked at my son and I said, I give you 5 minutes and those are all over the ring. Less than 5 minutes, they're all over the ring. The same thing
I
when
think
Lyra.
she's still getting to the ring, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
I did. You know what, man? I like Bianca Belair. I love her character. I was down with the girls playing the double dutch on the stage and all that.
No,
I
you know,
like
you
it.
know what I want. You know what I want for Bianca Belair. This is the honest God's truth.
What's
I
that?
want her in a hair match, and I want somebody to cut that fucking hair
Me too.
off of her
Me
fucking
too.
head.
Me fucking too. And you know the person to do that? You know the person to do that? It should be her and Tiffany. Her and
There you
Tiffany,
go.
hair versus hair.
I don't care who does
Um,
it.
but and then
Hair versus thong match.
oh yeah, you better trim the bush, pal. Anyway,
I hope it's shaved.
and then the same thing happened with Lyra. When Lyra Valkyria came out later on in the night with those flowers in or those feathers in her hair, I looked at my son and said, I bet you I'd give you 5 minutes and those feathers are in the air. First goddamn bump, feathers go flying.
Lyra Valkyria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I thought this match was great. I'm glad they started it off with the whole Belair and Ripley are arguing and then they pie face Io out of the way again because it made the ending that much better with Io going, you guys are not going to treat me as if I'm a third wheel. You can't call her a third wheel now. She beat both of them. Granted, she pinned Bianca, and I said that was going to happen. I said Rhea won't take it to pinfall here, but I ain't got a bad thing to say about this match. This was the best match of night 2 to me.
I thought it was better than I expected. It I mean, it pretty much finished the way we jokingly. I want Rhea Ripley to always win. So, but we both agreed that Bianca was going to take the pin, no matter who won, which is not surprising. But I'm going to throw my little dig on Bianca here because I love to throw digs on Bianca. When you're going for the pin to win the match, and the next person is going to dive off the top ropes on you, it's probably best that you don't fucking look up, because I knew Io was coming because Bianca looked up.
AEW does that shit all the time.
And I learned it from watching it. Of course, I agree. And this is just, listen. To me, some of that stuff is nitpicking. This is not, because I went in that match. I watched it clean. I didn't know who was going to win. I didn't know when the pinfall was coming. And the minute I saw Bianca look up, I said, here comes Io. Boom. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
She gets the win. Good for her. I'm not the biggest fan of her. I'd rather have her win than Bianca. That's fine. Rhea doesn't win. She doesn't take the pin. The match was definitely a lot better than I thought it would be. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. The match was always going to be good. I didn't like the build. I didn't like the setup. I didn't like any of it. but the match delivered, which is great for the three of them. But Bianca, that I just have to mention that because it was killer. The camera was zoomed in on both of their faces, and she looks up, and here comes Io. It took the surprise factor
Yep.
away.
As
That's all
soon
I'm
as you
saying.
saw her look up, it's like, do you not have peripheral vision?
Plus, don't you? In my mind, the way my mind works, I'm like, she's coming, right?
Yep.
So why are you? Do you need to look up to prepare when you know she's coming? You should be prepared for her coming without looking up.
I'm going to move quickly here because it's already almost 20 after 7.
Yeah, I know. We're moving. We're making progress.
Drew McIntyre defeated Damian Priest. The right person won this. Other than that, could not care less. They built this as a Sin City street fight. They didn't really. All they did was a bunch of stupid table spots. This was not a real street fight, in my opinion. Not compared to what we've gotten as far as hardcore stuff in the last few months from WWE. I didn't like this match near as much as everybody else did. It was just there. We even said it on the pre thing we did. I don't think neither one of us give a fuck who was going to win this thing, but it was just there. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. A lot of people like this match. I love Punishment. I call him Punishment Martinez because ROH. The real ROH, not the Tony Khan boy. I love the guy. I've always wanted him to do big things, so I don't want to diminish him. Drew McIntyre is Mr. Reliable. I'm almost starting to get it. He almost starting to feel like Kane to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's always there. You know what? We'll put Drew in these programs, and then when we need a challenger, we could always go to Drew, but he's never going to win. You know what I mean?
I don't know if they mentioned this up to the build on this. It didn't. This match really was this whole thing. I was just like, okay, they're putting these two together because they really don't have a place on the card for them. And I don't think they really mentioned this a lot in the weeks up to this match, but Cole mentioned it that Damian Priest is the one that kind of screwed Drew McIntyre out of the title at last year's Mania by cashing in the Money in the Bank deal.
Yeah,
I didn't even remember.
He cashed it. Yeah, he cashed in on him.
I didn't even remember that really until they.
But they didn't do it right. They didn't do a good enough job of selling it as that.
Yeah.
He cashed in on him, right? Mania, and then he pinned him at the Elimination Chamber. That was the whole idea.
And threw him out of the Rumble.
Yeah, and threw right.
So it's like they could have.
So it was
perhaps if we were able to see the fucking video package on Peacock instead of an ad for Old Spice or whatever they're pushing. Come on. Anyway.
Well, here's the other thing, and this is no fault of their own, and I wouldn't even say a fault of WWE. It's the fault of all wrestling I watch. There is just too many of these type of matches. Tables and chairs, and it's not special anymore. It's not, and you fans out there with we want tables every fucking match.
Every match.
I don't want a table every match. I don't want a fucking chair every match. I don't want you I don't want you fighting outside of the ring every match. So when these two guys have a match like this, it might actually feel special if we didn't see it every fucking show. And that's no fault of their own either.
No, it's not.
But I'm just saying it was, you know what? It was a decent match. It was okay. I know there's people out there that loved it. And if you loved it, that's fine too. I don't know. It didn't do everything for me.
So let's move on because this right here was another match that was damn good. Not as good as the women's match.
Plus, I don't know where either guy's going coming out of it.
Exactly. And that's been my biggest thing with WrestleMania is what are you going to do afterwards? Because you shouldn't leave everything up to, we'll find out the night after, because you don't always find out the night after.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And here's the thing. Not everybody can do something else the night after, right?
Exactly. My second favorite match of the night. Because I do think that women's triple threat was the best match on the show for night 2. But probably one of the biggest face turns, organic face turns, in WWE history. My boy, Dirty Dom. I called this
Dirty
one.
Dom,
We
baby.
both called this one. He pinned fucking Balor.
Yeah.
And they were going so fast that it wasn't until the replays that I was like, oh shit, Balor tripped him up and crotched him on the damn turnbuckle. So this
Yeah.
fits. But they were
Yeah.
going. Penta was great. Everybody in this match was great.
Yep. I love me some
My
Breaker too.
daggone Penta is now, or Dominic is a full blown babyface. And the best thing about this is he's on the post show, on the little post panel, going, I'm the greatest looking Mysterio of all time. I'm the best living Mysterio ever. I'm better than my deadbeat dad. And now I'm your Intercontinental Champion. And the fuckers behind him could not get. They were sitting there going, Dirty Dom, Dirty, Dirty Dom. And I was like, all right, there's a nursery rhyme I could get behind right there. This dude is a baby face.
Well, here's the other side of it. I'm going to tell you right now. If he didn't win, the way that match went, the way the whole thing broke, right? If he didn't win, I think whoever won would have got booed out of the building.
Yep, exactly. That crowd was totally behind this man.
Oh yeah, if Dirty Dom doesn't win, that ending would have been a disaster.
It would have been the teetotal shits. I mean, I loved every bit of it. And then when Dom won, I was clapping and cheering my ass off in my living room. I was like, fuck yeah, give that little boy his flowers. Here's a boy who I saw being fought over in a ladder match.
I'll say this: when he came up and he came about, and they brought him in,
right
and he
in the
was
middle
like
of COVID with no fans.
Ray's kid and the whole thing, and to get him to this point through the turning on his daddy and kind of just being like the little prick kid the little kid that you work with that you just like. That's just disrespectful that you want to just punch in the fucking teeth, but you can't. You know what I'm saying?
I'll go one better.
Point.
Whoever came up with those vignettes thank you, and God bless Rhea Ripley. I'm going to bring Rhea Ripley to Christmas. I'm going to bring Rhea Ripley to Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they do, quote unquote.
Mommy's always on top.
And when they arrest him, and he's like, Mommy.
And he
Mommy.
was like Rhea's little bitch.
Exactly. And he's like, Mommy, you got to get me out. I'm not going to make it on the inside, Mommy.
and then when he comes out, it's like Dirty Dom's the toughest guy in the jail.
Yeah.
He was there for 4 hours.
Yeah. And they still do that.
It's like, dude, this is long-term storytelling. Hey, Tony Khan, take the fucking straw out of your nose and take notes. This is what long-term storytelling looks like.
This is how you take a Nepo baby and make them claim.
Creative.
Yeah, and make them claim and earn their spot.
Well, plus the other thing, too, is you can map things out for a long period of time, but you can also adjust to how people are reacting and how the story is being told. And I think they've done kind of all of that with Dirty Dom.
And I'm so glad for that kid. I mean, because, we were all there in like 2005, 2004, whenever it was, where Ray versus Eddie for the custody of Dom. And then Dom does come in, and he's like this fat little chubby luchador-looking guy.
I'm doing a little Eddie behind the scenes here.
And now he even had the Eddie Guerrero shirt on at the post conference. He's like, I got 2 dynasties I've got on my back. The Mysterio dynasty and the Guerrero dynasty. And I'm like, this boy fucking gets it. It's not just because Ray's his dad. All Ray had to do was train this guy up, and then all they had to do was break him away from his father, wind him up, and watch him go. He's been around it his whole life. He gets it. I'm proud of them so much. I'm so proud of this kid.
Let's do this. Let's give him a big spot on Raw tonight.
Yes. Let's give him a championship celebration.
Yeah,
I got a feeling, though, they're going to go the way of him and Braun Breaker.
Listen, let's put a bed in the ring.
Him and Liv.
You know where I'm going.
Him and Liv.
Oh, yeah. Rated R, Dirty Dom.
Overall, this match was good. All 4 of these guys, including Penta also, man. All 4 of these guys busted their ass during this match. And it was freaking great.
I love me some Breaker, bro. I love me some Breaker. The
spear from one table to another. I'm like, he fucking flew. He didn't even get a chance to run. He just dove and flew. It was
dude,
so
he's crazy.
Good. It was so good, and Braun Breaker needs to be elevated to world heavyweight title material. I want to see, honestly, I want to see him and Jey Uso going at it. Let the young bucks, the young bucks, so to speak, let the young guys have a shot and get in that main event.
Yeah.
They're ready. Both of them are ready. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Braun Breaker's the one to take it off Jey Uso.
Oh, real quick before we move on to the next match, I got I got to shout out. I got to shout out some of my boys and then Conda, Smitty, Sean. They were talking about, and I happened to read the text like later on because again I was working when it all went live, but they announced Jey Uso main event Jey Uso like they're like show open Jey Uso,
So,
and I hate that you have to say that, but that's what they did.
yeah,
But
curtain
not to rewind here, but it just popped in my head because you brought up
Yeah,
Uso.
you called me Jackknife Joe White. Curtain jerker Jay.
Hold on, I think we upgrade. I think we
Joe White.
swerved that to Jagoff Joe White.
I'm gonna take a sidebar here. I left a lot of shit in my truck, like we were talking about, like my cooking equipment and shit. They
What'd you
called
leave
me.
your Jagoff equipment in there?
Yeah, man, the lube and everything stayed there. All my Rhea Ripley and my Liv Morgan in the truck.
Big vaginas.
my Rhea Ripley and my Liv Morgan both stayed in the truck. But them some bitches called me today wanting to know if I would be willing to pay for them to ship me my shit back. I'm like, you fucking fired me. How am I gonna pay for that? You motherfuckers, you just can't leave it alone. You just can't fire me and leave me alone.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they'll send it in a black garbage bag. They think they're Mickey James.
Yes. No, what they'll do is they'll box it up and send it UPS and then make me try to pay for it.
What a bunch of bastards. What a bunch of bastards.
Fucking rat bastards. Anyway. Randy Orton we got to talk about this. I don't want to even talk about it. I don't want to give this prick the satisfaction.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
You've seen my video, right?
I believe in Joe Hendry.
My reaction.
No.
It's that good.
No.
You haven't seen that?
No, the only thing I've seen about this was me texting you, sing it with me, White.
So there's an old movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's about this he's like a really white conservative Christian guy and wants to raise a prim and proper daughter. He's a single father. And his daughter goes on a trip, like what he thinks is a mission trip out to California with his church. And she goes missing. Well, as it turns out, she went missing on her own and decided to join up with a pimp and make a porno movie. And there's a scene in the movie where this is like late 70s movie. So there's a scene in the movie where the old man is sitting in front of a projector and all you see is the light coming off the screen. You don't see the screen itself. You see him sitting at a chair. It's a very poignant freaking scene. And they're showing him his daughter getting fucked essentially. And he's like, turn it off. And the thing keeps going. He's like, turn it off. And the thing keeps going, turn it off. So I did a video where I did the Joe Hendry thing. And right as he turns around, and I believe it cuts to the old man. And I edited it where you still hear the theme song playing in the background. But it's like the old man's watching his entrance video. And it's like, turn it off. Turn it off.
All right. So here's what I'm going to say.
It's gotten 6,000 views, by the way.
I love it. But here's what I'm going to say to you. And I understand where you're coming from, so I'm not knocking you. But they fucking buried him.
That's my thing. Listen, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. He's the TNA champion. I'm so glad they buried him. It should have been boom, RKO, and that's it. But
Randy Orton came out looking like $1 million.
Good.
I think absolutely he's great. I love Randy. I've always loved Randy Orton. I think this was a point where they were like, all right, we wanted him and Owens, which could have been a WrestleMania stealing match. It could have happened, right?
Yep.
And Owens gets hurt, so instead of like pop shotting Solo Sikoa or
Rusev,
having somebody else come back and getting buried by Reigns, we got this Joe Hendry who we know will get a reaction, but then we're going to have him get RKO'd to hell, get pinned, have Randy put him over, and then have him RKO him again, and then mock him in the middle of the ring.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
bro,
did the turn better than Hendry did.
It would say to me, if you don't like Joe Hendry, you got everything you wanted to see.
Exactly, and I loved every minute of it. He did Joe Hendry
Right.
better than
So as
Joe
long
Hendry
as you're
does.
willing to admit that, I'm okay with it.
But what I don't get, and shout out to my boy Mr. Rollback.
It's just a fun spot. That's all it is.
It's a fun this and a fun that, but you take it away, and what do you got? Nothing. The man is nothing without the song. The man is nothing without the stupid little goofy
It doesn't matter
turn.
because here's the thing.
It does matter. His work is the shits.
Yeah, but listen, Joe, they're not presenting him as some guy who's going to have a big run in WWE.
TNA does, though.
But that's a different company. I'm not worried about what TNA is doing on WrestleMania. It just let TNA do that.
You know what? Because it's bleeding over.
In the words of Meltzer, their fans like him. They like what he does.
Yeah, and it's bullshit.
Okay, you cannot like that. But in the spot they put him in on WrestleMania, with Orton having nothing to do, it gave Orton something to do. Dude, this is the thing. What would you rather have? Would you rather have what they did in the past with The Rock, where he like come out after not being around for fucking 8 months, and then just bury somebody like Rusev or bury who the hell else did he come out on WrestleMania and just bury him in like 3 seconds because The Rock came back and that's what everybody wanted to see. They didn't throw somebody to wolves' hair. They took a guy from they took a guy from another company who gets a reaction, who they have really no vested interest in, and said, here you go. You're going to walk out on WrestleMania with the TNA title, which is huge for TNA, but our guy is going to literally take a shit on you in the middle of the ring. And that's what happened.
I would have rather them go. I'd rather have them go the way the storyline should have went, and I'd rather them have Nick Aldis come out. No, Nick Aldis. I wanted to see him. At least Nick Aldis can actually wrestle.
That's a different argument.
At least Nick Aldis can actually wrestle and can actually go.
But let me ask you this question. Why, if that's the case, if you're going to do Nick Aldis, why even do Kevin Owens? You should have just went to Nick Aldis.
No, hold on. The Kevin Owens thing made sense when Kevin Owens bowed out. Randy Orton, RKO's Nick Aldis, but
he had RKO'd him before that.
Exactly, and paid him to double the money and said, "Here, this is for next time."
Yeah,
they could have done a deal where he goes, "Hey, I'll give you the $10,000 back, and since you want a WrestleMania match, and since you want to lay your hands on me, I'm going to give you a fair and clean shot to do it, Sonny Jim. Me and you, we're going to have a match at WrestleMania."
No, I agree. My point being is they could have done that anyway. I'm okay. I'm not arguing with you. If they want to do, listen, if they want to do Nick Aldis versus anybody, I'm okay with it. And I think there's a lot of fans that watch WWE that have no idea
that Nick Aldis can fucking go. Yeah. They just think.
Listen, shout out White House. White House is the biggest fucking Nick Aldis fan in the world. He think Nick Aldis was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. He could have been right. I don't even know.
And he hasn't worked a match.
He's never been given the opportunity. I agree. So I'm totally okay with that. I'm just saying there's a million ways they could have got to that match. And I would have been totally fine with doing that.
Like I said,
but the thing was, you would have needed to have done that a couple weeks ago. Doing it last night would have made that. It would have just been stupid.
Yeah, it shouldn't have never been an open challenge.
Right, I agree with that. But given that it was, they didn't bury any of their guys. Number one, they didn't bury like a return guy.
Okay, I know a guy they should have came out there and here we go.
You just didn't want it to be Joe Hendry.
No, I didn't. I fucking can't stand you, Average Joe. Anyway, that's what I'm going to call him, Average Joe. But because he's fucking average. His gear is average. His stupid little haircut's average. His ring work is average. Even that bullshit song is average. Anyway.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
I believe I wanted to puke when he came in.
I believe
But here's what they could have done. Here's what they could have done. And it's a match that they've done before. And we know Orton was going to go over anyway.
Listen, okay? I've been on Joe Hendry before anybody even liked him. So I don't want to hear any shit.
Here's what they could have done. The night, 2 nights prior to this, Carmelo Hayes won the Andre. I would
Yeah.
have been happy to see Carmelo come out and have a damn banger with Randy Orton.
But here's what would have happened though. We all know what would have happened.
Yeah, Orton was going to
Carmelo
beat
would
him.
have lost, and they would have done nothing with him.
They haven't done anything with Melo anyway.
I know, but that's the point though. Come on.
They're not. You know, so instead of taking a rival company's champion and burying him,
Do you really think it's better to bury Carmelo than to just bury some guy that you don't give a shit about?
but here's the problem though, and here's what I see for the future. As soon as his
They would have
TNA's
made
contract
that
is
would have
up,
made Carmelo big. That would have made Carmelo a joke. It really would have. I'm sorry. I just
you can't
and
bury him more than he already
listen.
is.
Nobody loves Carmelo Hayes more than me. I seen the guy Christian Casanova winning before. I seen him in front of 200 people before anybody even knew who the fuck he was. I would love to see him in a big WrestleMania spot. Not at that expense though. It doesn't make sense to me.
You can't bury him any more than he already has been.
No, you
So
can.
what is the lose going to hurt?
You can bury him anymore by sending him out there to get embarrassed by Randy Orton. That's how you can bury
But
him.
at least they would have had a little bit of a competitive match instead of a 3-minute squash.
Maybe.
Instead of a 3-minute squash that made no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but you did again, bro. You did it to a guy they don't care about.
Except
Honestly, I
for the
feel like
fact,
we're wasting too much time on this, but you
except
did
for
it
the
to a
fact
guy
that,
they don't care
you
about.
know, they
every other time in WrestleMania history, when they've taken one of these type of guys, The Rock, Cena, whoever, and they bring them out and they bury guys that are supposed to be up and coming. Everybody fucking bitches about it. So what do they do this time? They're like, hey, you know what? We got access to the TNA champ. Let's send him out there and have Randy Orton take a shit out of him.
How about this? How about this? Why not shock the fans a little bit and maybe do Carmelo Hayes versus Randy Orton and fucking have Carmelo do a flash pin and go over on him?
I mean, that's a different argument. You know, they're never going to do that.
They were no, but I mean, I'm just saying anything.
I mean,
that's way better than this.
Carmelo's going to win.
That would have been better than this.
Carmelo's going to win. Of course, I'm going to say yes, but I mean, this is like.
But here's the kicker,
bro.
though.
We could do 1,000 what ifs.
Here's the kicker, though. When Carmelo if Carmelo were to come out there, okay, you could have said 99% sure Randy Orton's going over, but there's always that 1%. When Joe Hendry comes out there for all his bravado and bullshit, you know 100% they're not going to have a TNA World Champion go over Randy fucking Orton.
No, of course not.
All right, then. There you go.
Honestly, I would have popped more if it was for the title and Randy won it. That would have been fucking hilarious.
That would have been hilarious.
And then you could have put Randy on a TNA show, which
here's
probably not.
Here's the cool thing, though.
You know what?
At least they have Joe Hendry wear the TNA title out there. Fucking, how many people have captured the Speed Women's and Speed titles out there? No, not that Speed Championship has never been on scene on WWE TV outside of that damn show.
Thank God.
Anyway,
I'm gonna say one quick thing before we move on this about Carmelo Hayes. And I know that, like you said, we haven't done much with him yet, but he did win the Andre, and I know it's on SmackDown, and I know like it's not that big of a deal. But I'm gonna say this, and I'm not saying this to be Mr. fucking Smarky, I know better than you. But when I saw Christian Casanova before he was even a top talent, when he was coming out doing his Michael Jackson gimmick, when he was like 19 years old and nobody knew who he was, and this is a fucking fact. And he used to come into fucking the Bethany Town Hall, and we used to rag on him for doing a Michael Jackson gimmick. I never would have thought that Carmelo Hayes, aka Christian Casanova, would be winning the fucking Andre in Vegas at even a SmackDown. So I know, listen, there's a long way to go. He's a young guy. I hope big things, but I just want to throw that out there. So
Trevor Lee. Anyway, Christian Casanova. Anyway, we said this next match was going to be the sleeper match of the weekend.
Hey, listen, they should have bought CMLL and brought Flip Up. That would have popped that.
We said the next match was going to be the sleeper match of the weekend, and boy, was it, because the crowd fell asleep on this one. And it wasn't that good. Oh, I was so disappointed in this. Logan Paul defeated AJ Styles. This match was just meh. It was meh. Go ahead. Your thoughts on this?
All right, I got to be real. And you know I love both guys. And you know I had high hopes for this match, and maybe I overhyped it.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, meh. Yeah, that's. I don't know.
Say I was right. It's meh. I know you love Logan, man.
No, but I can't. I don't have the words to say what is what. I'll just say this, and I know it's fucking cliche and it a cop out, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. Something was missing. I just don't know what. Right?
The
I don't know if that
crowd,
makes sense, but
the
that's where I'm
crowd
at with
was
it.
dead. The crowd
No,
was
but
so
no, but that, no,
tired.
well, that may be part of it, but I'm not. I'm not going to give them that excuse. I for some reason, it just didn't work.
Let's move on because we're running out of time here. Um, Lyra and Becky Lynch defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel. I felt so bad for Bayley when they did the whole jumping angle and oh she's hurt and all this. Because I'm like, all right, it's Becky because Lyra's from Ireland, Becky's from Ireland. They're gonna do the Irish thing. Me and my son were sitting here going, okay, wouldn't this fit if Becky turned on Lyra and did a heel turn here? Because her husband just turned heel the night before. But I had to remind myself that outside of a few mentions here and there, they've never really had Seth and Becky together. You know, as a couple on screen. We know they're married and we're supposed to know they're married, but it's not like you're going to see Becky Lynch accompanying, you know.
What if Heyman came out with Becky? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Heyman could have came out and
Yeah.
done it.
Becky, I'm a
You
Paul
want to be the
Heyman
first.
man.
I would love it if he looked at
I'm a
Becky.
Paul Heyman instead of a Paul Heyman guy. I'm a
Paul Heyman girl.
man.
Or the Paul Heyman.
No,
yes,
man.
the Paul
Remember,
Heyman
she
man.
should be the man. The Paul Heyman man. Listen, I can't stand Becky Lynch anymore. I could give or take Lyle Valkyria. I mean, I could put her and Io Sky in like a little box. That's just the way I view it.
I know you didn't see it afterwards because I had the TV. I watched it this morning in the press conference afterwards, the quote unquote press conference, because you had people asking total softball questions. Becky and Lyra go to take questions, and Becky brings her daughter Rue, her and Seth's daughter Rue, and they're the fucking press are asking Rue questions, and Rue is taking the microphone and talking, and everybody's like, "Oh, how cute!" And Lyra Valkyria is sitting there, and you know, in the back of her mind, she's going, "This was supposed to be my WrestleMania moment, my first WrestleMania, and here
like
this little fucking girl is stealing
like literally, fuck you."
You know, her face said it.
You bring your daughter.
There were at times where she would look over and give Rue like the
Steph
daughter
Curry used to bring his kids.
Yeah, I can't
stand that.
There were times when Lyra would look over and go, "How cute," but you know, in the back of her mind's going, "How fucking dare you? How fucking dare you?" You know. But again, the 4 horsewomen coming in to fucking, Bailey's the only 4 horsewoman she was the redheaded stepchild of the whole group anyway. She was the last one of the 4 to get called up. She was the last one of the 4 to win a fucking title. And she's always been treated less than the other 3. But she's a goddamn trooper, man. She's a goddamn trooper.
100%.
And, I'm sorry.
I can't stand any of the other 3 right now.
The business has passed the other 3 by.
I like Mercedes Mo. I kind of like Mercedes Moan's heel run here. But the problem is she really has no challengers in AEW.
Nope.
Which is an issue.
Because they all want to fucking go back to WWE.
She's playing, I mean, I'm just going to be honest, like, sorry for the language, but she's playing a stupid cunt, and that's what she is.
Yep.
So it works. But no, I'm a big fan of Becky and Becky's booty. So, or not Becky, I'm sorry, Bayley and Bayley's booty. So I feel bad that it happened to Bayley. But I mean, I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me bringing the kid to the press conference and stealing the show. Yeah, of course, that's literally what her and her husband would do, and I can't stand either one of them. Then that's just it is what it is.
As far as the match goes, Liv Morgan was the star of the match once again. Liv Morgan, it's been Liv Morgan's year. I feel sorry for the fact that Liv Morgan has carried that women's division on her back, and now here we go with the 3 horsewomen coming back, or 2 of the 4 horsewomen.
Speaking of Liv, did you see Liv dancing in a club with that dress?
Oh my God. Joey
God.
showed me that the next day, and he's like,
Joey?
he has, my son Joey, he shows me this, and he goes,
He came
Dad.
out of the bedroom. Dad!
He did, Dad, look at this.
Oh,
She
thank
doesn't have anything on. She does not have anything on. Look at her.
Listen, I support her right to wear whatever she wants.
And I
I'm
had
just
to
going to
tell
say
him,
that right now.
I looked at him and I said, son, let her do her. Let her do her, my boy. You know, but he's at that age where he's starting to notice girls and oh shit.
I mean, he's going to keep noticing if you keep watching her.
Well,
What I'm telling you is,
he's already got two. Like he's real involved at the in the. Can you hear me? Okay.
yes, sir.
All right. Sorry, it keeps telling me I have poor quality on this Teams bullshit. But anyway,
No, I hear you fine.
He's real involved with the church. Okay, more power to him. At least he ain't running the streets doing drugs. Okay. But he's also becoming the guy at the church where all the ladies of the church are all the girls at the church his age are starting to notice him. I'm like, come on, every time.
I don't think lives at the church, but
I'm at that age. I'm 40 years old and I have a 15-year-old son. He started talking about other girls, and I'm just like, son, I don't want to hear this, because in my mind you'll always be that little boy.
Wait,
you know.
haven't had the talk?
Yes, we've had the talk. Put a raincoat on it, you know. Don't come home pregnant. Put a raincoat on it. Just say no. All that good stuff.
He's like, I'm already a stepdad. I'm already a step granddad, pal. I don't need to be
exactly.
A granddad.
But what did you think of the tag match overall? It was there.
Right.
It was there.
Yeah. It served its purpose.
As soon as Becky came out, you knew who was winning. You know, kind of, unless they were going to do the turn. John Cena defeated Cody Rhodes.
I can't believe people are still like excited every time she pulls this crap either.
Me neither.
But whatever.
John Cena defeated Cody Rhodes in 21 minutes and 40 seconds. We had Travis Scott coming out.
Boo!
This was probably the weakest Cody Rhodes match ever since he came back to WWE. And I said it was going to be because you have a 40-something-year-old man. Let's see, how old is John Cena? 47 years old, who can't.
When was? Sorry, go ahead.
You know, you have a 47-year-old man who couldn't ever fucking wrestle in his prime, trying to wrestle now and do his same old shit. You did call it though, and I even messaged you and said it. You said, what if John Cena just had a spotlight entrance, no video or no nothing? You said it. You were right, AC. And goddamn if you didn't do it. So, I mean, the entrance was okay, and then the bell rang. You know.
Here's my thing though. When was the last time John Cena had a significant singles match in pro wrestling?
Well, they even said he hasn't won. He hasn't won one in about maybe 3-4 years. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only asking because I can't remember.
But here's the guy who looked like
a significant singles match in wrestling. It's been a long
I'll be honest.
time.
Cena made his entrance, and he does that thing where he runs and hit the ropes, and usually he throws his hat and all that, but he doesn't throw the hat because he's a heel, thank God. But
right.
He does that.
He left all his wristbands on too.
Yep, and he does that bit where he runs the ropes, and there was a spot right before Cody entered where his right leg, he looked like he hurt his right leg, and all throughout the match, he was just looked like he was missing a step.
Yeah, I've heard some rumors of that. Maybe he had an injury there. Listen, I think this is very complex. It's the main event, right? We talked about it earlier. The last match, the top match, and you're coming off a 2-year run where you had Reigns on one of the great title runs in wrestling history, maybe the best. You had the finish the story, you know, the whole thing with Cody, which lasted the span of 2 WrestleManias and beyond. And then you had the great main event last year where one of the greatest title runs in history was ended. They're carrying Cody around on everybody's shoulders, all the run-ins, The Undertaker, The Rock, Cena, everybody comes out, the whole thing. One of the great WrestleManias that you're always going to remember. And now here you go. Now you have 2 guys in a short build, which was basically I don't know what, 5 promos where they stood in front of each other and talked.
Said the same
They
shit
hadn't
week
really
after week after week.
they hadn't really even contacted each other, which I'm not against either. I was okay with, because I want to see them fight at WrestleMania. Here's the thing, I was looking for a fight, and I don't think we got a fight.
No,
Like that,
we got Cody working his
Cody,
ass off, and John Cena
Cody,
trying to wrestle again.
Well, this is why I was hopeful, because in that last promo, and obviously that promo took place after our show, and I kind of said I want to see a fight. I want to see them beat each other up, right? That promo on SmackDown, which happened the day after, what did Cena say to Cody? When Cody said to him, John Cena, it's 2025 and you still can't wrestle.
Yep.
And what did he say before the mic drop? To beat you, I don't need to wrestle. Mic drop. Walks out of the ring. I said, here we go. They're going to fight. If there was any time to let guys, break the rules type shit, and this is why, and Cornette's 1,000% right about this, especially when it comes to the fucking plumber Moxley, breaking the rules in every match to the point where there are no rules ever, and it makes all this stuff convoluted, so that when you have a match like this where you want to have two guys who are supposedly in a wrestling match, but then they're in a fight, and you kind of let them walk the line of having a hardcore match, it's not really, and the ref struggling whether to call a DQ or not. That's where my mind was at with this match. And you didn't get that. And I think that's why it was lackluster. I also don't think it could have ever lived up to what last year was.
No,
and
no
then
way.
The other side of it.
No Rock either. No mention of the fucking Rock.
You have no mention or nothing with the Rock. Now, I don't think, if you did it right, I don't think you needed it. I know other people. Actually, Hollywood was sending us some text, or sending me some text about that, about the Rock stuff, while we're talking here that I haven't read yet, which it makes me think that he has an opinion that the Rock should be, but I'm going to read that. I don't want to put it out there before reading it, which is totally fine. And I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just saying is that if they did it right, I don't think you need the Rock, but I know you didn't need Travis Scott. I would have been okay if they just had a fight and you had no run-ins. But again, we got to the point where The Rock came out at, when did he come out? Was it Survivor Series or something in the fall? The Rock comes out, and
it was Bad Blood. I was there.
Right, you're right, Bad Blood. And then he kind of disappears. And then he comes back and he gets involved in a thing, and then you think he's like ultra involved, and then Elimination Chamber night happens, and then The Rock goes away again. And here we are. You know what?
So a couple things here.
You hear a lot of rumors. I'm just going to say this real quick, and then you could go. You hear a lot of rumors that there's some kind of disconnect with The Rock and some of the management.
There's a total disconnect. He's like, I'm on the board, so I can come in anytime I want to, regardless of how your booking is going. Yeah. This is the second year in a row he's fucked up Triple H's booking.
But why wouldn't he interject himself now, though? Why wouldn't he show up at WrestleMania?
That's
I don't
what
understand
I'm wondering.
if that's the case.
Kudos to Meltzer. He called it all along. He said Meltzer said The Rock is not scheduled to be there.
But what if it isn't that? What if there is, he had the 3 fingers and the 2 fingers and the 1 finger, right? We didn't get to the 1 finger yet. Maybe we didn't get to the 1 finger yet for a reason. I'm willing to let that play out. But I don't think that, let me ask you this. The same match happens, and instead of Travis Scott, The Rock comes out and whatever happened. Does that really change the fact that the match really just wasn't it?
No, it doesn't. You're right. Not at all.
All right. That's my only point.
So, a couple things here. Cena was on Pat McAfee's show today, and I just saw the clip. His whole thing is, I'm going to force WWE to reset, meaning I'm taking this title home with me. This is the one thing that I'm allowed to claim that is mine. This is the one thing that I can say I honestly deserve. He's already he said on the Pat McAfee show today, you're going to have to get a new title. Your lineage resets to 0.
So that's his story for the rest of the year.
Yep. That's his deal, and I kind of like
So
it.
now we need somebody. Now
And
we
I'm
need
just sitting there
somebody to
going,
say you're not taking that with you.
yeah. Instead of the summer of Punk, you're going to get the year of Punk with Cena, and it's a much higher
So you think?
stake.
So you think Punk is going to be the guy that
I could see that happening.
saves the title from Cena?
And I also think we're
Well,
gonna
yeah.
at the same time I think we're gonna see the return of that goddamn spinner belt.
Oh,
Um,
I hope it. I
PW
mean,
Insiders,
does it not make sense though?
it kind of does, but it doesn't
I
make
mean,
it mean I want to
he
see
brought
it.
it up in that he brought it up in that first promo.
So we got 2 minutes before Raw starts here. Cena slated to kick off the show. JD McDonough is supposed to be returning tonight. Thank God, because man, he got fucked up months ago. And Rusev is set to re-debut tonight. So, any final thoughts here, AC, before we duck on off here?
Final thoughts. The Punk thing you brought up is interesting to me. I'm willing to let a lot of this play out. And like I said, I just think that you had a decent WrestleMania that's going to get caught up in the echoes of many decent WrestleManias we've had in the past. But it still was a fun weekend. There's, a fair amount of shit that could come out good out of this. But I
Could have
do
been way
think,
worse. It could have been way
I
worse.
mean, they have 2 nights to sell out at SummerSlam, so I think you're going to get fast tracked into SummerSlam booking here, which may be a good thing. We'll see.
All right, folks, that's it for us. We'll see you down the road.